Do the job, guys. I don't know. Old mate here is playing up a little bit, but hopefully that's okay now. Let me know if it's not. Give me the thumbs up in there. All right, just give me a sec. Give me a sec. Give me the thumbs up if that's all right, guys. Should be okay now. How are we looking there? This happened the other day in the round table. Give me a comment there. Are we good? Are we good? Let me see. What have we got? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's happening there, guys. It's I was on the round table on Friday morning with D Style, Dragon Style, and for some reason the same thing happened. So might be time for a new microphone. But this is the computer one, so hopefully I'm all clear. So just to recap, as I was saying, in case you didn't hear it, fight week for Team Maloney, fight fortnight for Andrew, fight week for Jason. But yes, we want to discuss the fight on the weekend. What do we want to discuss first? Do we want to discuss Canelo? Do we want to discuss Stevie Spark? I've got a feeling. Let's start with Stevie Spark, because for us Aussies down here, this is this was the fight of the card, wasn't it? So if you're hiding under a rock and you missed it, Gabriel Golas Venezuela. Yes, I will do that, Big J. I'll just put my audio a good pistol whip. I'll do something, mate, but I'll work it out by the time I get back. Anyway, so yes, to further on that, Carl, welcome to the show too. Paro Progress, Progray. I always pronounce it Progress. Progress is fire. Yes, it certainly is, mate. And then of course I am off tomorrow to the States for the trip to see the twins, and of course Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko as well at the MGM Grand on the 20th of May. So big couple of weeks for me as well. All right, let's get into it. Carl, you hit it on the head there, mate. Stevie was robbed, gutted with the outcome. Old mate Big J says Spark got robbed. Yet another Aussie screwed in Mexico. Yeah, well, the official scores were 96-93 for we'll call him Golas, because that's what they were calling him on the telecast, not Valenzuela. It's Golas. 96-93, 95-94 for Golas, and 94-95 for Stevie Spark. So, look, I was scoring it along the way. I was trying to be, I was probably looking for a way not to give Stevie Spark the rounds, because you've got to remember, you've got to look through the eyes of the judges there, the hometown boy. It all started, well, this actually didn't start, it ended with the big controversy. Eddie Hearn spilled the beans that the three neutral judges that we were supposed to have for the fight, right before, well, I'm not sure how earlier, maybe you guys can let me know, two of the judges were swapped out for Mexican judges, if you can work that out. And surprise, surprise, guess who, or get what two judges scored the fight for Golas. So, look, it's a tough one to swallow for Stevie Spark. I really like the way he reacted afterwards, and we'll get to that in a sec. But my view of the fight was, as I said, I was trying to be counterproductive to Stevie Spark. So I was almost looking for a way not to give him the rounds, because that's the way the judges were sort of looking at it. Now, my final scorecard was 96-93 for Stevie Spark. That means I had it 7-3 for Stevie Spark, and the point taken off, of course, for the knockdown in round 6, I think it was. So it made it 96. So I don't know what fight. Well, I do know what fight the judges were watching, because I think they already had it penciled in before the fight even started. So I mean, I don't know how. Being a promoter myself in the past, I don't know how. I know it's a lot smaller scale than this, of course. I don't know how the combat board or whatever it is that takes care of things in Mexico deal with things, but I've never heard that before where right before the fight, judges are swapped out. Now, maybe it's happened and we just haven't known about it. Not for a main event anyway. Not that this was a main event, but I don't know how and why this happened. Stevie Spark has got every right to be pretty pissed off. I think he took it really well. He was obviously, they interviewed him after the fight. I know he was on before the fight last night. I did miss that, so I'm not quite sure what he said there. But look, he took it in good grace. Look, he had every right to chuck a hissy fit, but I think he knows that doesn't achieve too much. Big J, you agree with me? 96-93, thank you. Carl says 2 judges are guns out to the head by the sounds of it. I just don't know how you could score it for this guy. I really don't. G'day Matt says they tried to swap out the referee also, but Sparks' team refused. Well, I don't know whether they didn't have a leg to stand on for the judges. Maybe, look, they're pretty sort of easygoing, his team Spark. You know, he's one of those guys, and I'm sure Brendan Smith's the same. They just roll up and they fight. They understand that they're the B side. They understand they're the opponent, and they go along along with a lot of it. I'm not quite sure what's happened in this. I would love to hear, unless he said it last night, I'm not sure. As I said, I didn't see it, but I would love to hear the feedback on what exactly happened. Was it a case of half an hour before the fight and they said, look, we're swapping the judges out, or like it or lump it, or they didn't know whether the judges had been swapped out? I'm thinking that. I'm thinking they didn't know what the go was, and you would have thought if they tried to swap the referee, that's one thing, but the judges, I don't get it. I really don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. But to the fight itself, look, I'll just get that off the screen there. Look, I was, just, as I said before, I was looking for every reason not to give Stevie Spark the rounds, but I just couldn't. Look, there was maybe a round or two that could have swung. I think round 8, I might have had it either way. I went for Stevie Spark in the end because he was just so dominant. But Golaz, apart from the 6th round, I will give him credit. I thought he was under the pump and on the verge of getting stopped at that stage, but it was almost like he took a deep breath, bit down on the mouthpiece, and just went for it, and actually got the result that he wanted to. He dropped Stevie Spark, and I thought that was it. He was going to finish it, because I don't think it was a big shot that dropped him. I think it was a wrong call by the referee at the start to actually call it a knockdown. But Stevie Spark didn't argue, so I'm sure there was something in there that I didn't see. But when he went down, he did the right thing. He took the 8 count and got up, and then he was under attack. And as I said, I thought the referee might have taken the opportunity to say, "Hey, that's it, boys," and give it to the hometown boy. But he dug in, and I thought he won the last 4 rounds. I couldn't see a reason to give Golaz a round. As I said, the 8th round might have been maybe either way. But either with that, I still had Stevie Spark winning 6 rounds to 4, which would have been 95-94. So with the judges' scorecards, if you hadn't have got knocked down, the fight would have been a draw. All right, so we would have the 96-93 card wouldn't have mattered. It would have been 96-94, so it didn't really matter. The 95-94 would have been a draw, and he would have won on the other card 96-94. So that knockdown cost him a draw, which is still bullshit. Because if he hadn't got knocked down, he should have won by 4 points, not 3 on my card. So anyway. Right away, mate. Spark said he didn't know till scores were read out and judges' names were different. Yeah, well, the judges, let's have a look who the judges were. All right, I did have that up a second ago. I'll keep going back here. All right, so the judges were Erica Contreras. I'm assuming it's a she. She scored the fight for Golaz 96-93. Ruben Cruz had it 95-94, and Jeremy Hayes had it 95-94 for Stevie Spark. So, look, they took it well. I must admit, as soon as the first judge was read, it was because my wife said, "What did you think?" I said 96-93 for Spark. No problems at all. Then when 96-93 come out, of course, I'm doing this. Geez, you're a great judge, Lynden. Of course, it's for Golaz. I'm thinking, oh, right, that's what I thought. This is not going to end well. The second judge, of course, was 95-94. I still thought it was too close. And then when the 95-94 come out, I thought, he's not going to win it. And that was it. So, I mean, the fight itself, I just thought Golaz did not, apart from the 6th round, didn't really land any meaningful punches. He didn't look anywhere near as strong as Stevie Spark. Stevie Spark reminds me a lot of Jeff Fennick when he fought. Obviously not in the same category as Jeff. He was 1 in a million, but the same sort of thing. Not the most talented guy in the world, not the most physically gifted guy in the world of anything, but what he is gifted with is strength and power and stamina. So, like Jeff used to do with his opponents, he would take away the advantages, the natural advantages of his opponents, whether it be foot speed, hand speed, killer punches, whatever it might be. He would take those advantages away by sheer work rate and punching with power. And Golaz, he pity-patted, I thought, a round, apart from the sixth round. He really did. I don't think he landed really anything of note. A few jabs and rights here and whatever. Stevie Spark was coming forward. He was throwing power punches, landing power punches, and he was hurting Golaz. I just don't know how you could not go the way of Stevie Spark. But that's what he reminded me of. Nowhere near the talent of a Jeff Fennick, of course, but he reminded me that he just takes away all the disadvantages he has just by that. Right, I'm coming at you and I'm going to hurt you. I'm not going to try and outscore you. I'm going to try and hurt you. A bit like Canelo Alvarez probably used to do. Used to try and hurt opponents. Every shot had power on it. These days is a little bit different, and we'll get to that fight in a sec. But I don't know. What did you guys think? How did you have it? As I said, I had it 96-93 for Stevie Spark. Am I close? Mitch Cook, how are you, Mitch? Stevie's gas tank was seriously impressive. It really was. I thought he faded a little bit in a middle round, especially after that knockdown. He came out hard in the seventh round, which was what he needed to do to come out and win the round. But then I thought he probably, the eighth round, as I said, he probably took a little bit of a round off, and I thought he finished strong in the ninth and 10th. So the way I went for the first 6 rounds was Spark, Golaz, Spark, Golaz, Spark, Golaz, and then the 10-8 round for Golaz. So I actually technically had him in front after 6 rounds, which I couldn't believe. But then I thought Stevie Spark won the last 4. The thing that really set it apart from me, I will say, is that the rounds that Stevie Spark won were definitive rounds. Clearly, Stevie Spark won rounds. The rounds that Golaz won, apart from round 6, I thought were actually quite close. So that's why I just don't know how these judges, especially the one that had Golaz 96-93 in front, so 6 rounds to 4. I don't get it. What's going on there, Big Joe? What do you got? Spark is in good company, though. Joined Susie Ramadan and Dennis Hogan as Aussies to be screwed in Mexico. 100%, mate. So, look, one thing I will say, there's probably a catch-22 because they knew that if it went to the distance, the odds were they were going to get robbed. Well, close to it. I think if you ask them, that's what was going to happen. However, you have to take the opportunity and go and fight him in his hometown. I just think the knockdown really gave them every opportunity to rip him off. And that probably took away the controversy of, most people, 99 out of 100 people said that Stevie Spark won, but that knockdown just gave them a little bit more of a reason, I think, to justify the scorecards. Although, having said that, God knows how you can justify them. Zigmont, how are you, mate? Who would you like to see Stevie Spark fight next, Lyndon? Good question, mate. Well, I'd love to see them run this one back for a rematch, but we'll see. Montana Love, I think he would still want a crack at Stevie Spark. There's some good fights out there for him. In a perfect world, I'd love him to see him fight Liam Paro if he beats Prograis. So we'll see what happens there. Dara Foley, yes. Good call, Big J. Dara Foley is a really good fight. Obviously, Dara Foley's got some business to take care of, but yeah, that's a really good fight. And what I like about Stevie Spark, I think we've mentioned on here before, win, lose, he comes to fight. He's not worried about records. He's not worried about, any of that, the social media bullshit. It doesn't worry him. He's a fighter. Give me the best wherever, whenever, and I'll fight him. That makes him a really, really dangerous opponent. Now, it could probably work for him, or it could probably work against him. It would work for him as such that a lot of these contenders, whatever, would see him as a good 10 or 12 round fight, good opponent. He's had that Montana Love fight under his belt, of course, so they would see him as a good opponent. However, geez, how would you want to be standing in front of him for 10 rounds where he pretty much doesn't stop pushing and bustling and punching? And look, as I said before, I don't think Stevie Sparks the most graceful guy out there. I certainly don't think he's the most talented, but geez, what he makes up for it in heart and guts and endurance and his whole overall approach to it. He's a pretty dangerous fighter for a lot of guys out there, Zygmunt. But that's probably me, mate. I reckon ideally down the track, it's Liam Paro. He's going to need to probably get another couple of good wins under his belt, though, I would think. But definitely Montana Love or Golas. So we'll see what happens. If I was Golas, I wouldn't want a bar of Stevie Spark if that was the case after what happened there. So, but anyway, so we'll see what happens there. But look, congratulations to Stevie Spark. As I said before, really, really good attitude. Brendan Smith's been there before with Michael Concedis. He's a very humble, measured type of guy, is Brendan Smith. So I'm sure they would have taken it with a grain of salt. But I don't think it does his brand any harm at all. I think, if anything, it actually endears him more to the Aussie public if you could do that, because everyone here in Australia loves Stevie Spark for that warrior mentality. So, yeah, no, I don't think it hurts him at all. If anything, maybe it's an Eddie Hearn who said after the fight that he thought, I'll fix that there, who thought that Stevie Spark won the fight. I think he's going to want fighters like Stevie Spark on his cards going forward, because why wouldn't he? You know, he always comes to fight, always comes to entertain. Will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, whatever weighted it might be. So those fighters are rare, and a promoter would love those types of guys. Is he going to win all the time? No, he's not. But he's going to get a lot of those big fights. And look at someone like Gabriel Rosado. Not to say, I mean, I don't want him to end up like Rosado did, but that type of guy who is just, promoters love to put him on, fans love to watch, because he's just you always know what you're going to get. He's always going to turn up in good condition with a great attitude and give it all. So hats off to Stevie Spark and Brendan Smith. I thought they were great. Did Australia proud. And I think I didn't look at a lot of the essay, but what I did see, you know, all Aussies were super proud of him, and yeah, and good luck to him going forward. What do you guys think's next for Stevie Spark? You know, does he go for Love or Golas or whoever? I'm not sure, but let us know who you think he should fight. Let's get on to the main event now. I'll come back to your questions because there is a little bit of a delay here. Canelo Alvarez with a 12-round unanimous decision over John Ryder. It was pretty one-sided. Look, it wasn't probably a fight to write home about. Let's face it. The official scores were 120, 107, 118, 109 times 2. So one judge gave Alvarez every round. I don't think that was the case. I think you could really make a point of Ryder winning 2, if not 3 rounds. And I think the other judges did there. They had it 118, 109. So what's that? 12. What's that? 10 rounds to 2, which is not too bad. I was really impressed with Ryder. Look, and probably not that impressed with Canelo. This is probably where I need to get your feedback and what you guys think. I thought Canelo, on the surface of the whole thing, I didn't think it was a really impressive performance from Canelo. I thought he looked really good for the first 5 or 6 rounds. I think it was the 5th round he dropped Ryder. I don't know whether he tried too hard after that to get the job done. I don't know, but I just thought as the fight progressed, he gassed, which he tends to do. I thought his defence looked nowhere near as tight as it has in the past. This guy, like Canelo, previous fights, you know, he would turn his head and make the punch miss by that much. He would roll with the punch. He would just pull back. Just really, really good defence, underrated defence. I thought his punches, on the other hand, that he was throwing looked a little bit laboured. It was one punch at a time. A lot of his punches actually missed by that 1 or 2 centimetres. So, yeah, I don't think it was a great performance from Canelo. But what I will say in defence of him is that, look, it's a hell of a thing to get up in front of 50,000 of your countrymen who were screaming for the knockout. As, you know, you're trying too hard. You're trying to put everything into every single punch. So I can sort of forgive him a little bit with that. And on top of that, John Ryder is a really awkward guy. Really, really awkward. He's got that southpaw style. He's just very awkward. He's in and out. He's a pity pat. He's tight angle. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I wasn't impressed because as I said, I just don't think his timing is what it was. His defense is what it was. He's loading up too much. And the reason I think he should stay away from Bivol, especially in the next fight. G'day, Andy. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show. Is that one thing that really got him when he fought Bivol last time was the work rate of Bivol. He was throwing multiple combinations. Canelo really struggled to go with him. And if you look at the fight yesterday, it was one punch at a time, especially in the second half of the fight. And I just don't think. Yes, guys, hit the like, smash the like button, please. Thank you, guys. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm not going to totally give him a fail because he won the fight. Obviously, that's all he can do. And Ryder was that awkward guy. I'm just not sure whether he's got it. One, he's got it in the ticker anymore. Whether he's got the desire. He's made no secret that he wants to probably end up playing golf. And good luck to him. He's more than earned it. But you're right there, Carl. John Ryder was absolutely tough as nails. And my wife actually said after the fight, I think I've got a new favourite fighter, John Ryder. I'd never heard of him before, of course. But look, you've got to take your hat off to him. He had the broken nose. 50,000 people screaming for his blood. He had Canelo Alvarez in front of him. He was in beast mode. So he did really, really well to last the distance. And I think his stock would have went up a lot. But just on Canelo, I'm just not sure whether he's got the heart for it anymore. And I'm not quite sure who the opponents should be pick for him to fight going forward. I don't think he should fight Bivol. I think Bivol wins easier this time. I think he would have looked at yesterday and think that Canelo's not even the fighter that he was 12 months ago, so he'll be licking his lips. And I think if anything, that work rate, he'll start from the word go this time and really put Canelo under pressure early. I think last time he was probably a bit more, this is Canelo, I better take my time. And didn't really pick up the pace till the middle rounds. I think he starts quick this time. I don't think he'll be fussed by Canelo. And the fact that Canelo just insists on throwing one punch at a time, Bivol is all wrong for him. Andy says, I picked Canelo via decision, but was still impressed by Ryder's durability, to be honest. Yeah, mate, 100%. He was durable as hell, wasn't he? John Ryder was better than advertised. Yeah, look, I did pick probably Canelo by late round stoppage, but I did say that I wouldn't be surprised if he went the distance because he's just a very, very awkward and what's turned out to be a really, really tough guy. Yes, old mate, Big J. Ryder beat Bilal Akaway by KO back in 2019. Well, that was actually that fight, Big J. That was on the undercard of Canelo and Daniel Jacobs. And I remember I was pretty excited by being there for that fight. Now, I didn't really know a lot about John Ryder back then in 2019, I will say. Knew a little bit about him. I actually thought Bilal Akaway could get the job done. I'd seen Bilal, I think his fight before that in Vegas, and he had a really good win at the Hard Rock. But, of course, John Ryder's a different kettle of fish. But I just remember on the night when I watched it, I sort of felt sorry for Bilal Akaway because John Ryder absolutely took him to school, and I think it was a third-round stoppage in the end. It was really tough for Akaway because Ryder just come out, first fight on a big stage, and I'm not sure has he fought since. Might have had one fight since, has he? I'll just quickly look that up. I know he's had some injury problems. Where are we? Akaway. Let's have a look. Bilal Akaway. So, yeah, he has had one fight since then. That was Sebastian Singh about 12 months ago. So, yeah, that was on. I'll just make sure it was on the Ryder. Canelo Jacobs undercard it was. So, yeah, that was that card. But I did feel for Akaway in that fight because, he learned a very, very harsh lesson. But back onto this one. I think, as I said, should stay away from Bivol. The interesting thing with the Bivol fight, I will say, is that, and this is unprecedented, I will say, in this era of catch weights and clauses and rehydration and all this sort of stuff, you've got Canelo and Bivol arguing about who doesn't have the advantage, if that makes sense. So Canelo's saying, who's a 168 pounder, I want to fight Bivol at his natural weight of 175 and give away all the advantages just to make a point. Then you've got Bivol saying, who's a 175-pound world champion, saying, I don't want to fight at 175. I want to drop weight and go down and disadvantage myself and go down in weight to fight Canelo at his natural 168. When's the last time you had two guys butting heads and arguing about who's going to give away the advantages? I don't get. I've never seen that ever. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I've got a feeling that Canelo is the A side, even though he lost, of course, last time. So I think he will get his wish and it will be at 175. But, geez, if I was him, I'd be trying to take all the advantages away from Bivol. Having said that, though, if he does beat Bivol at 168, of course, then you got the haters saying, well, he didn't beat him at 175, so, you know what I mean? So you can't win. Anyway. Canelo, what do you say? And Canelo just tried too hard to get KO in front of home crowd. Yeah, I agree, mate. But likely also underestimated Rye's durability too. I think so, Andy. And I think probably the worst thing that happened for Canelo, who I thought looked good for the first 5 or 6 rounds, when he dropped Ryder, he just went looking for the KO for the rest of the fight and really gassed himself out. So I'm not going to throw Canelo away at the moment, because of that point. I'd like to see him. I don't want to see him fight Bivol next, I will say, although that looks like that's what's going to happen. I think, and I know I'll probably go against the grain of a lot of you guys out there, I think Benavidez is the fight over Bivol, because at least with Benavidez will come at him, give him a chance to time his punches, not go looking for him like he had to do against Ryder, and what he will do against Bivol. Bivol's a bit different though, doesn't he? Because he does actually stand in front of you, but he actually counter punches you. He'll counter you, and then he'll throw a combination, but he's right in front of you. So it's really hard for Canelo to get his head around. But I think Benavidez is the easier fight. Now I know that might be a little bit conflicting to what you guys think, but I just think Benavidez is the easier fight. I think he just works into Canelo's hands, but we'll see. Carl says, make no mistake about it, Canelo pumped the dog shit out of Ryder. He did. Like, it was a beatdown. I sort of felt sorry a little bit for Ryder at the end. I mean, he's got everyone screaming for his blood. But, probably unlike a lot of the other Englishmen that he's fought, didn't take a knee, didn't take the easy way out, didn't take the payday. He held firm, and he lasted to the final bell. So, yeah, full cred to John Ryder. Big Joe, what do you got there, mate? Sonny Bill William Hall card for Akaway. Is that the card it was on, was it? Yeah, okay. So that was about a year ago. Was that long ago? A year ago? Jeez. Hang on, let's have a look. I think was that a year ago that he stopped Barry Hall? Jesus, I don't remember that. I thought it was like 6 months ago. Let's have a look. Paul Fleming and Jackson John England fought. That was a really good fight. Oh, yeah, you're right. KO won Barry Hall. Okay, there you go. So on that card was Khalid Baker, Terry Nicholas. Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that, mate. So there you go. All right, but all the best to Bilal Akaway. I still would love to see him fight Jade Mitchell. Maybe they could fight it at catch weight, because I've got a feeling both of them are not going to be making super middleweight too easily at the moment. So let's maybe hope they can have a fight at some stage. Although I think Bilal would probably want a tune-up or two to get himself back into shape, I would think. Andy says, I still prefer Benavidez next, but with all the Bivol talk, expect that as most likely. Yeah, I think so. And look, that's probably one thing you've got to give Canelo credit for, I will say. And even his haters. I mean, it's easy to pot shot him. I just think we'll miss Canelo when he's gone. It's like Mayweather, Pacquiao, De La Hoya, all these great fighters that we've had over the years. We've all got the detractors, I understand that, and Canelo's got his share of haters out there, but he's just a once-in-a-generation fighter, and I just want to make the most of him while I can. But what I don't want him to do is take bad fights. I respect him no matter what. But to fight Bivol, it's just a bad decision. I don't think fans care whether he avenges the loss to Bivol. I really don't. I think they would prefer him to fight. To say, right, Bivol, we know he's going to beat you again. Canelo obviously wants to correct that slide on his resume, and that's fine. Fight Benavidez. I think he's going to get a lot more cred by fighting Benavidez than he will by fighting Bivol. And if he does lose to Bivol, then what? Is his career over? I think it might be. If he fights Benavidez, though, and if he loses to Benavidez, no drama, retire, happy, we love you, whatever it might be, and off you go. But if he beats him, then he might fight Bivol. I think from what I'm reading, his body language and what he's saying in the media, I would think that Canelo's probably got 2 to maybe 3 fights tops left in him, I think. And I wouldn't blame him. He's 32 years old, but he's had 64 fights. That's a lot of fights. And not just 64 fights. He's probably had 30 of those at the absolute top level, which is something that you can't say about a lot of fighters out there at the moment. Zygmunt, what do you got there, mate? Were you more impressed with Julio Cesar Chavez's career or Canelo's? 100% Chavez's, Zygmunt. Look, well, I suppose you could make a case, couldn't you? Because Canelo, I'm just off the top of my head. I work my way sort of backwards, of course. So he's fought Golovkin 3 times. He's fought Mayweather. He's fought Cotto. He's fought Kovalev. He's fought. I'm just picking the names. Now you've made me go back through his record now, mate. I'm going to have to go and have a look at his. Let's have a look at the of the record. So, look, I'm an 80s and 90s fight fan. All right, so I'm probably going to be a little bit biased towards Chavez. But now that you've got me going, we are going to have a look at Canelo's record. Here we go, and you can all come along here and have a look. Hope this works. All right, here we go. So some of the fighters that he's fought. Let's go back a little bit. Started even probably Shane Mosley was probably. I know he beat Matthew Hatton down here. I was actually at that fight, and tell you what, it was brutal. And full respect to Hatton for that fight as well. All right, so you can see there, Shane Mosley. I watched that fight as well. I don't think Mosley really turned up for it, but he still got the win. Austin Trout, good win. Floyd Mayweather Jr., of course. Angulo, Lara, Kirkland, Cotto, Khan, Liam Smith, Chavez Jr., whatever you want to make of that. Triple G, takeaway fielding. Danny Jacobs, Kovalev, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. So look, his resume it's on point. Let's go back to Julio Cesar Chavez and let's compare his record. There's probably a few of these around. Yeah. Where are we? Don't want to get off track here, guys, but you are Sigmund. Where are we? Where is he? There he is. Julio Cesar Chavez. Let's have a look at his record there. So he goes back a fair way. I won't bore you all night with this, guys. I've just got to get the greatest hits, okay? So, beats Roger Mayweather. Well, he did beat Ruben Castillo, I suppose. But Roger Mayweather, who was a great fighter back in his day. Rocky Lockridge, great fighter. Juan Laporte, great fighter. Edwin Rosario, Hall of Fame fighter. Absolutely demolished Rosario. Defended it multiple times. There's Bazooka Limon. Jose Luis Ramirez, who was a great fighter as well. Mayweather again there. Sammy Fuentes, Alberto. These are all really good contenders. Meldrick Taylor, of course. We'll quickly go through the rest there. And even these other ones, like John Duplessis was a good fighter. You can see there 36-1. Lonnie Smith, former world champion, 28-3-1. Angel Hernandez, Frankie Mir, Hector Camacho, Greg Haugen, Terrence Ali, Pernell Whitaker, make of that what you will. So go through the fighters there. There's Meldrick Taylor. Tony Lopez, former world champion. Oscar De La Hoya lost to, of course. So, look, if I'm going to have to pick Zygmunt, I'm probably going to still have to stick with Julio Cesar Chavez. I still think Julio Cesar Chavez is the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. And I know a lot gets thrown at him about he fought taxi drivers, but there's one big difference. Yes, he fought some taxi drivers, but they are in between fighting those really good contenders. See, back in the day, there's none of this fight once a year or twice a year, tops and all the rest of it, and fighting the number one ranked or a voluntary or mandatory contender. These are the days we'd fight 4 or 5, sometimes 6 times a year, did Chavez. So I understand what people say. There are some taxi drivers on that record, but they were just to keep him busy. Remember, there's not as much money back then as there is now, so these days they don't need to fight more than once or twice a year, but back then it wasn't the case. So Chavez fought those taxi drivers in between fighting the mandatory and voluntary challenges all the time, and he fought and beat everyone. Now, whether you agree on the Meldrick Taylor decision, he won the fight. Whether it should have been stopped or not, he still won the fight and avenged that, a couple of years later. Pernell Whitaker, make of it what you will. But the one thing about Chavez, that's what I like about Canelo as well. Unlike a lot of fighters out there who fought great fighters at their peak, and De La Hoya is another one. Not that he's a Mexican. I know he's Mexican heritage, but we'll call him an American for now. But Canelo and Chavez fought the one thing in common. They fought great fighters at the peak of their powers. Chavez could have easily waited for Taylor, to another 3 or 4 years. Could have waited for Whitaker to get a little bit older. He fought him at the peak. Camacho, these types of guys, he fought all the contenders. So I will never have anyone say to me that Chavez has fought taxi drivers, because that's not the case. He fought every available mandatory or mandatory voluntary contender that he had to fight, and won world titles in 4 super featherweight, lightweight, 4 divisions. So That's why I'm more impressed with him. Although, having said that, Zygmunt, Canelo won what? Undisputed world championships in 3 divisions. Was it 3? Was the Kovalev fight, was that for the undisputed title? I know he's obviously super middleweight and super welterweight. Didn't unify at middleweight, but he still, I think, won 2 of the titles. But either way, a fantastic record. I'm probably going to say, having said all that, Zygmunt, let's call it a draw now. I think Canelo's got to the point where it's a draw. After all my little raving there, and I've called it a draw. But anyway, Andy, what do you got there, mate? Bivol gets my full props for winning first and prefer his given choice. But Canelo's still A side here, and his pool will tell Bivol take the dollars or forget about it. Then we'll see Benavides next or after. Next, not after. Yep, I agree, mate. Another one there. Bivol, people tossing Jamal name around too. If I was Canelo, I'd tell him to hit the curb. If I was him, doesn't deserve a fight with Canelo. Props to him if he wins that lotto ticket, but in my opinion, he's least deserving, especially since WBC middleweight line stagnated with Adames waiting on title shot. Well, apparently they're fighting in, is it July or whatever it might be. I would love to see Jamal Charlo fight Canelo, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't deserve it. He's a middleweight anyway, so if he goes up, I would love to see that fight. Probably over all those, to be honest. Probably over Benavides and Bivol and all of them, to be honest, if I'm being honest. I think Charlo and Canelo, that's a great fight at super middleweight. But Charlo's got to get in the ring and, get a couple of defences under his belt and get back in the public eye. He doesn't deserve shit at the moment. How are you, Batman Boxing? Great to have you along, mate. I did see you in the chat on the round table on Friday, so thanks for tuning in. Yes, Team Batman Boxing, Stevie Spark was robbed big time. So, Batman, you're obviously not an Australian. You said he was robbed. Are we missing something here as Australians? I mean, we all back our boys, just like I'm sure you back your boys and girls. Am I missing something here? Obviously not by your comment there, but I'm struggling to get my head around how he didn't win that fight. But anyway, James, how are you, mate? James Daly, sick of Eddie Hearn putting Australia's best fighters into B-side fights. Yeah. Well, I'm with you there, James, but they can always turn it down. It's probably easier said than done, I will say, because let's face it, it's Eddie Hearn. The Paro situation is a little bit different. You've got to remember, even though he's ranked number 2 by the WBO, and you've got Taylor and Lopez fighting, is it June? Or I think it might be June, fighting, June 17th. Now, they might be out of the ring for another 12 months after that. I don't mind Liam Paro saying, you know what, this is probably out of the Aussie mould if you think about it. Let's stuff who they are. Let's go. Let's take them on. I think with Liam Paro, I think probably unlike Michael Zarafa, I will say. That's another point. We covered that last week. But I think Liam Paro is saying, you know what, I'm a guy. I'm approaching the peak of my powers. I'm going to fight. You know, I've got a world title fight. I'm fighting for it. Because he could easily say, yeah, I think I'll let that go and fight the winner of Lopez and Taylor. Or the vacant belt. He could easily do that. But I love the fact, and his stock goes from here to here for me with Liam Paro to say, no, I'm going to take the WBC champion. He's a gunfighter, let's face it. Even if it is a B-side fight, I don't mind it, James. I am sick of it to some extent, but unfortunately, Eddie Hearn's taking our guys on. It's not like he's out there actively trying to search for the best Aussie out there. Remember, he's probably got the managers and advisors of all the Aussies approaching him. So he's probably saying, yeah, all right, I'll take you on. I'll put you on. He wouldn't have known much about Stevie Spark when he put him in against Montana Love. He just would have been looking for a suitable opponent for Montana Love and probably had no idea what was going to happen. So, and of course, we know what happened there. So that's probably why I'm not so stressed about it, James. I'm just happy our guys are getting opportunities. Now, maybe it'll flip and Eddie Hearn will say, geez, what we all know, geez, there's some bloody talent in Australia. I'm going to go down there and start picking a few out and making them the A side, which when you think about it, was supposed to be happening with his foray into Australia. It was supposed to be coming in with DAZN and was supposed to be putting the Aussies as the A sides. Now, I got a feeling he said, it's too hard. The whole no limit thing with Fox and all that rest of it, they can have it. I'm not interested. I've got all this other stuff going on. So, I'll take the Aussies and I'll put them in. And yes, they're B-side fights. But, mate, as I said, I'm just happy they're getting the opportunities. And Liam Paro, what do you guys think? How does this relate to the Michael Zarafa thing. Is this a bad business decision, or is it a good business decision? Is it a good business decision to say, hey, I'm just going to take it while it's there? Or is it a bad business decision? Should he have followed the Michael Zarafa path and said, no, I'll just wait for a mandatory shot at the Lopez and Taylor winner? It's an interesting one. I, for one, for what it's worth, would be doing exactly what Liam Paro is doing there and say, it's WBC title, bring it on. I'm going overseas, I don't care. Now, it's in... now, where was it? It's in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Center, if that makes sense, in New Orleans, June. Hang on, guys. What was it? Hang on, I'll get my list back up here. I did have it written down. June 17th at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. How's that, eh? The Smoothie King Center. So, pro race 28-1, 24 KOs. Liam Paro 23-0, 14 KOs. Mate, as I said, I hope I made sense of that, but... Stevie Spark didn't have a choice. Let's face it, he's not the A side on any card, unless he comes back and fights in Australia, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. He's always going to be the B side fighter, and especially now that he's lost. Paro, my decision, would have had the opportunity not to take it, but hats off for taking it, Liam Paro, and I think he's got a really good chance. Sigmund, fair call. Lynden, your opinion makes sense. I'm born in '89. Jeez. So a bit before my time. I'll have to check out more of Chavez's fights. G'day to everyone in the chat. Great to have you along, mate. I know you don't have the opportunity to get along that often anymore, so really appreciate you tuning in, Zygmunt. But, yeah, Julio Cesar Chavez, he was what Canelo is now, the king of boxing, the face of boxing. And that's one thing I will say about Canelo. Keep your Gervonta Davises. Canelo Alvarez is still the face of boxing. Not an argument. You ask any casual boxing fan out there, put a photo of Gervonta Davis, and probably 6 or 7 out of 10 will probably know who he is. The hardcore fans, of course, will know, but just the ones that just follow it casually and might buy the odd pay-per-view here or there, or go to the pub and watch it with the mates, whatever. I would only think 6 or 7 out of 10 would actually know Gervonta Davis. If you went, here, who's this? 10 out of 10 of them are going to know Canelo Alvarez. It's as simple as that. He is the face of boxing. So that's just my call. But go back and check out Julio Cesar Chavez, Zygmunt. He fought everybody, and as I said, he is the Canelo of the 80s and 90s, especially the 80s. He was an absolute beast. He was the animal. He ruled boxing. And in the 90s, along came Pernell Whitaker and Meldrick Taylor and Oscar De La Hoya and all those types of guys that made it a little bit harder for him. But in the 80s, go back and watch him fight Edwin Rosario. Go back and watch that fight. And you've now got me on it, and then I'll tell you what sort of fight. And this is against Edwin Rosario, who had won the world title with a second-round knockout of the lineal king of the lightweight division, Livingston Bramble. Demolished him in 2 rounds. He was the man. He lost a controversial decision to Hector Camacho. So in everyone's eyes, he was the lineal champion. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez fought him at the Las Vegas Hilton and absolutely demolished him. Now, I'm going to put that fight. Now you've got me going here. I'm going to put that in the chat. Hope that comes up there. Yep. I'll put the YouTube link in there. Check it out. Then you'll see what type of fighter Julio Cesar Chavez was. An absolute animal back in the day, and I loved watching him. Almost as much as Vinny Paz. I'm glad he didn't fight Vinny Paz, to be honest, because I reckon he would have taken Vinny Paz apart and it would have broke my heart. I love both fighters, to be honest. I'm going to go back through the chat there, guys. Sorry, I let a few tick through. Big J says, James couldn't have said it better. Eddie is a dickhead. I didn't say he wasn't a dickhead. Yeah, I agree with you, Big J. You guys have an eloquent way of putting things, don't you? What do we got there? Evening, says Jules. H, Lynden, everyone. Unfortunately, can't watch live tonight, but jumping on to wish you and the boys all the best. Can't wait for the vlogs, and don't forget top 10 pound for about under 25. That was you, wasn't it, Jules? Now, I've got to apologise. I haven't had a chance to do it in the last week. I've been busy with a lot, trying to get things organised before I went. I'm using that as an excuse anyway, but I just didn't get around to it. I'm sorry, Jules. But the first episode back, I will be doing the best, or the top pound for pound Aussies under 25. And I might even do a world one as well if I can find 10 guys under 25. So I'll do that, I promise, for the next one. And thank you for joining in. And just on that, guys, yeah, make sure you check the vlogs, the daily vlogs that'll be on the Team Maloney trip over the next 2 weeks. What do we got there? Big J. We all Australian, and none of us support Ebony. Yeah, it's an interesting one. The Ebony Bridges thing. We're getting a little bit off topic there, Big J, but I don't know. Look, I must admit, I'm gonna split it in half, and now I will say, of course, everyone knows I'm team shotgun. So, but I'm putting that aside. I'm putting all that bullshit. That's done and dusted now. I'm looking at it as it is now. I'm going to put it on two sides of the coin. Now, as a fighter, full respect to Ebony Bridges. Did she beat, in my eyes, the world champion in the division? No, she didn't. But a lot of fighters haven't. So I'm not taking it away from her. She fought a 40-year-old that hadn't had a knockout in her whole career, but she did the job. She won the belt. So full respect to Ebony as a fighter. But what I don't like is the way she carries herself outside the ring. That's just my opinion. I'm old school. I'm an oldie. I understand that. I don't like the lingerie at the weigh-ins. I don't like all the on social media stuff. I don't like it. But that's just me. But end of the day, guys, I'm in the minority by a long way. She's probably making hundreds of thousands, if not millions, out of what she does outside of boxing. So as far as being a businesswoman goes, hats off to Ebony Bridges, because love her or hate her. As I said, I'm not a massive fan of her, but I do respect for what she's done. But hey, she's got the last laugh, because after she's finished, she might only have a couple of years left. Remember, she's 36, I think. We tend to forget that about her. I always thought she was a lot younger than that, but she might have another couple of years in the sport and say, that's it, I'm out of here, and probably make millions and millions of dollars on OnlyFans, and she'll probably end up commentating on the Zone or wherever it might be. So hey, you can't take that away from her as a businesswoman and sports person. So, but I get you. And you're right, not a lot of Australia do, unfortunately. But what does she care? She's got the Poms all love her. A lot of the Americans love her. I was over in the States when was it last year when I was there? Canelo and Triple G. And she was there. I saw she was mobbed. Everyone mobbed her wherever she went. So these are all Americans, Mexicans, whatever you might want to, probably Russians over there as well, all flocked around Ebony. So she's going to have the last laugh, unfortunately, Big J. All right, speaking of Batman boxing, my friend even had a bet on the opponent. I thought he lost money, but got it due to that shocking decision. I couldn't believe it, and neither could he. That's on the Stevie Spark one. Nah, it's ridiculous, Batman. It is. It's bullshit. What do you got there? Well, hold up, Big J. I support Ebony, says Andy. All right, well, let's not get into it in the chat here, boys. Let's keep going. Spark is some serious head on those shots. Interesting to see if they can rematch on another big card. I wouldn't be surprised, Batman, but on the other hand, I'm not sure Goldaz is going to want the heat, as they say, or the smoke. Is that what they say, the smoke? But Eddie Hearn might say, well, like it or not, you're going to fight him, and the winner will get a bigger fight after that. So who knows? But I would love to see that. Maybe it could be here in Australia. Who knows? Andy says, Stevie got cooked like Hogan. That home cooking. Got to love it, Andy, don't you? You got to admit, it's pretty daunting to go over there. I'm not sure I'd want to do it. I thought actually the Mexican fans, I will say, by the way, I reckon are the best, probably along with the Poms, are the best boxing fans in the world. So passionate about it. It's a way of life for those guys. We're all fans here, and America, it's a little bit different. The Poms and the Mexicans, it's like a religion to those guys, especially Mexicans. They absolutely live for boxing. And apart from soccer, it's probably the national sport. So it's very, very daunting to go there into 50,000 of them, and they don't just want you outboxed, they want your head knocked off. So, yeah, again, full props to anyone that goes to Mexico and takes on a Mexican fighter. Big J, Andy, I disown you for your blasphemy. How dare you, sir? Well, you guys can sort it out in the chat. Andy says, bad business decision for Zarafa. All right, well, I must admit, Andy, I teed off on Michael last week, and again, as I said, it's not personal. It's just it's a business decision, and I think Jeff Fennick backed me up the other day. I did see him quoted in the media that to him, screw your money, you step aside money. I've got a world title opportunity. I'm taking it. I don't care the politics about it. I'm ranked number one. I'm taking that fight. So for me, I would say screw the step-aside money, like Jeff said, and take the title. But I can understand and see why they've done it. I don't agree with it, but I can see where they're coming from. They're rolling the dice. Their rationale, of course, is that Zarafa will fight on the undercard of the Danny Garcia and Arislandi Lara fight. He will fight on the undercard, maybe get a little bit more interest in the fight, probably take $250,000 US to put in his pocket, then get paid for his fight on the card, which might be another 100, 150, who knows. So he's actually got paid more than he probably would have got paid for the world title fight. I get that, but the risks involved. He could get beaten on the undercard because Michael hasn't won a fight overseas before. His 4 losses have all been overseas, or three of the losses, sorry, have all been overseas. So he might, he doesn't travel well. Having said that, they'll probably give him a durable journeyman that he can beat up on and make himself look. I understand that, but there's still a risk to fight on the undercard. Then he's got the winner of Garcia and Lara, who might take 12 months to even get around to fighting him. So he's got 18 months in between that. So a lot can happen. That's why I don't agree with the decision. If you look at it just in black and white, yeah, okay, I'll take some step-aside money. I'll just wait for my shot later in the year. Yeah, what could go wrong? The flip side is that a lot can go wrong. One, you can get beaten. One, you can get injured. More politics might get involved with Garcia and Lara. They might leapfrog him again or put him aside. One of them could get injured. Whoever wins it could get injured. And we could have another Zhu Charlo situation. So much could go wrong. And all of a sudden, we're 2 years down the track. He's 32 years old. The prime's gone. So that's why I think it's a bad decision. I can see both sides of it. But my personal decision is, mate, you're ranked number 1 with the WBA and IBF. Take the world title fight. Screw the money. Because if you win, I think this is what Jeff was saying as well. If you win the title, well, you hold all the cards. Everyone's going to want to fight you. You might have someone wants to take you to England. They might want to take him to Russia. But as a champion, you're getting the coin. Come back to Australia. I'm not sure whether he'd want to come to Australia or stay in the States, even better. Jamal Charlo might want to unify the belt if and when he fights again. Triple G might fight him for his belt. So many opportunities for him. So I don't understand it. I do understand it, but I don't agree with it. What do you guys think? Oh, I go on my little rant. You asked, by the way, Andy. Adam says, good evening, Lynden. Anything on Timmy? Also, Michael Zarafa is all talk. The bloke's a cat. All right, Adam, don't hold back there, mate. Look, I'm not going to say he's a cat, Adam, because that's pretty insulting to someone that, puts literally their life on the line every time they get in. But I don't understand his decision-making, Adam. I really don't. And if he's trying to endear himself to Aussie boxing fans, he's going about it probably the wrong way, don't you think? If he could sit down and go, how am I going to piss the Aussie fight fans off more than I possibly could? I know. I'm going to back out of a world title fight and step aside. Now, maybe he doesn't give a shit about what we think, and I would think that's the case. Knowing him a little bit like I do, he probably wouldn't care. But, geez, if he's trying to endear himself to the Aussie fans, I would think that I'm not sure whether even if he wins the belt, unless he fights Tim Tszyu, whether he'll ever be in a half-decent fight in Australia ever again. I don't think people will support him. I really don't. And it was bad enough with the creative fight. He didn't have a lot of fans for that one, of course. But for this one, yeah, and your comment there probably sums up the feeling of a lot of fight fans out there that just, look, I think I can speak for everyone out there. We just want to see him in big fights, good fights. Whether you like him or not, doesn't matter. We just want to see him in big fights. I want to see him fight Tim Tszyu. I want to see him fight Lara. I want to see him fight whoever. I want to see it. But that's why I said before, I don't agree with the whole step aside thing. But anything on Timmy, mate? No, nothing yet to answer the other half of your question there. I did say last week that my mail is it won't be Austin Trout. They've got someone else in mind for him, but who knows? It could get announced tomorrow that he's fighting Austin Trout. But what I heard was that Austin Trout has some legal issues. I'm not quite sure exactly what they are, but it could prohibit that fight. So I'm not sure. But Tim, he wants someone within a month or two, so they're going to have to act quick. So I don't think from what I've seen, whether it be on the Australian social media or the overseas social media or the websites, that a lot of people, you've got the side of the people that say they would probably think less of Timmy if he fought Austin Trout. I don't think that's the case. I'm really on the side of Timmy, fight whoever you want, mate. It's a stay busy fight. The fight means nothing. You've got the number 1 ranking. You've got the fight. Fight whoever just to stay sharp and get a few rounds on your belt. I have no issue with Austin Trout, but I know there are a lot that have. But to answer that there, Adam, from what I'm hearing, I've heard a couple of rumours, but I'm not going to put it out there because, again, the source that tells me to keep my mouth shut. I can hint to it, but I can't say it. So I've got some ideas, but what I'm also hearing is that not going to be Austin Trout. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Team Batman Bossing says no argument. Decent performance for Canelo. Have Ryder beating Outland. I gave him a beating. Outland him every round. I would have liked the finish, but still a dominant win. Yep, 100%, mate. This is on Canelo Ryder, of course. And Canelo definitely still the face of boxing. 110 million earned last year. It's not bad, is it? Last year, 5th on the Forbes list. I don't think another boxer was in the top 50. No, I don't think so, Batman. I don't think. I think, is he worth nearly 500 million US? I think they might have said he's worth in total. So every time he fights, he's going to earn $50 or $60 million. So good luck to him. That's the face of boxing. Gervonta Davis probably took home $10 or $12 million. Now, it's pocket change, a lot of these top guys. And you look at the days when Mayweather and Pacquiao and De La Hoya and all these guys were fighting. I mean, they're earning up to $100 million. So probably more in Mayweather's case. So what do we got there, Andy? No choice for Liam Paro. Title shot here. Time for us to find out. I'll be cheering for Paro, but Regis likely wins. Come on, Paro, you can do it, mate. Yep, I agree, mate. I think he can do it. It's going to be a tough ask, but I think on the flip side, Andy, is that if he does lose, so be it. He reloads, he goes again. He's young enough to go again. If he puts up a good performance, which I'm sure he will, which most Aussies have done in the last sort of couple of years, he'll get more shots. So he's a matchroom fighter. I'm sure he'll team up if it's a good performance. So I think it's a no-brainer. Take the world title fight. There's no one really to step aside for in this instance. So take the fight. Just fight it. And as I said, if he happens to lose, put in a good performance, and you get another one. James Daly's Eddie's rooting for whoever's not Aussie. Yeah, I just think he uses us up and spits us out a bit, James. He just, as I said earlier in the show, it's almost like, yeah, we'll get the Aussie. He'll turn up. He'll be in shape. He'll give us a good fight. Hopefully he won't win, but at least he'll put up a good fight on the card. So anyway, but guys like Rowie, I was looking at Rowan's comment there. Guys like Stevie Spark, they don't care, mate. They just want to fight. Rowan, away, mate. Tank needs to step up his dance partners now to even be considered the face of boxing once Canelo eventually retires. Yeah, I don't think he's the face of boxing at all. I don't think he's at all. Who is? If he's not, take Canelo out of it. Who's the face of boxing after this? I'm thinking maybe a Shakur Stevenson. Who else is there? I haven't got the rankings up there. Maybe if Devin Haney beats Shakur Stevenson, probably out of those. I don't think Devin Haney's probably got the aura about him, I suppose, the presence. I think Shakur Stevenson does. I think he could possibly be down the track, but I think Tim Tszew's got a good chance. I know he's not American, but he's tend to have to be American to be the face of boxing. But anyway, we'll see. Rowan again, sorry to late chat. Super excited for Regis versus Liam, but wow, Regis is a tough man, very old school hard. Yeah, look, I think we all know it's a super tough fight for Liam Rowan, but it's just like Tim fighting Charlo. Undisputed world champion is Charlo. But look, you got to take your hat off again to Aussies. We don't try and pick and choose and whatever it might be. Just bring on whoever's got the belt and let's go. Dan Parnas, how are you, mate? Thanks for joining in the show. Agree, Lynden Chavez, one of my faves. And to the letter of the law, the ref made the right decision against Taylor. I agree. The ref asked him if he was okay and he didn't answer and had blank look in his face. I blame Lou Duva, Dan, because he jumped up on the ring and was jumping around and waving and carrying on at Richard Steele. Meldrick Taylor's face, or who was looking at Richard Steele for the count, looked away from Richard Steele, didn't hear him or didn't see him, whatever it might be. It would have been a lot of noise, of course, so maybe didn't hear him, but certainly didn't see him. Ask him twice, are you okay? Are you okay? He didn't answer him. He had no choice but to wave it off. So I'm with you there, Dan. I don't think the referee had an option. By the letter of the law, he doesn't know, well, he did know this 10 seconds ago. That's probably the flip side of it, I suppose. But he can't take that into consideration. He cannot take in consideration the what-ifs. If the fighter doesn't respond and doesn't answer your question, then it is over. And as I said, Lou Duva got up on the ring, jumping up and down like an idiot, took the attention of Meldrick Taylor away from Richard Steele and cost his fighter that win. Having said that, what I'm also going to do on that fight, guys, I'm not sure. I think I would have mentioned it on here before. I went to the Boxing Hall of Fame last year, and at that, at the inductions, all the refs had a debate around this issue, and I filmed it. So I'm going to put the link up for that as well if I can find it. So I was at the Hall of Fame. They had about a dozen referees up there, and they all discussed that stoppage. So if I can find it here, I'm going to put it up. Where are we? Geez, hang on. Where is it? There it is. Did I put it up? Oh, yeah, there it is. All right, guys. Sorry to take that bit. Oh, hang on. Hang on, that was the news. All right, I'm going to put the link in here, guys, so watch it. If you're interested in that, that's some referees talking about that fight and what they would have done and all the rest of it. So that was at the Hall of Fame last year, so check it out. Let's go back to the comments, if I can find it there. Fighters were never the same after facing Chavez. Yeah, no, 100%, mate. They weren't. He was a type of fighter where he wasn't necessarily a massive puncher, but he would be on you the whole fight. And he would just throw multiple punches and he would wear you down. He would be on your chest, but not to the point, like you had someone like Jeff Fennick, wore a lot of punches, a lot of punishment to get inside. He would just sit on your chest and just keep throwing. Chavez, like Canelo, the head movement, the slips, the weaves, he'd pull back, make the punches miss by a centimetre. He was awesome. But in between, he was always on you, battering into the body, uppercuts, hooks, you name it, and he just did not give you a chance to rest. And you're right, fighters weren't the same after facing him. Andy, what do you got there, mate? Eddie was holding a grudge with Stevie for beating Montana, but Montana got picked up by WWE. Someone actually told me, is that right? He fought in the WWE. Geez, the times are a-changing, aren't they? Carl says about Michael Zarafa, you never believed Michael would walk away from a big fight. Well, Carl, as I said, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I don't agree with it. What is going on with that? I know he doesn't, says he doesn't care, but I'm sure he does. I don't understand why you would end up being the number one ranked contender in two divisions for two vacant titles and you don't fight for either. Anyway, Big J says again, Bakram Murtalazivov, I always pronounce that wrong, did the same step aside shit as Zarafa against Charlo and now has missed his shot. Yeah, well, it's a possibility, Big J. As I said before, a lot can happen. Danny Garcia doesn't fight often. Lara doesn't fight often. He could have to wait a year. I know they're talking about the end of this year, but a lot can happen. And let's face it, it's not like, it's a big name as, to stand in line. Michael Zarafa's not a big name internationally, so he's just seen as a bit of a hindrance, I think, a bit of a nuisance. So I'm not sure. I don't think he gets that, he gets the shot by the end of the year. Let's hope so. But I've got a feeling he might be waiting until the middle of next year. So let's wait and see, I suppose. PBC about to rob Lara and give his belt to the more popular guy, Danny Garcia. Yes, good point. How the heck WBA allow middleweight belt to be in 155 catchweight fight instead of usual 160 limit? Shake my head. I shake my head with you, Andy. It is ridiculous. If you're fighting for a world championship, now if you're not fighting for a world championship, put whatever clauses you want in there. We saw that the other week with Garcia and Davis. All right, so put whatever. If you agree to the clauses, whatever. All happy days. But for a world title fight, it was for the WBA middleweight title. It is 160 pounds. No clauses at all. It's 160. No rehydration clauses. No same-day weigh-ins. None of that bullshit. It's 160. We weigh in 24 hours before the fight. That is the final weigh-in. It's 160, and that is it. There should be no asterisks or clauses in world title fights. And it's another reason why boxing is fast becoming a joke, if you ask me. But anyway. But I'm with you there, Andy. I think I don't know why Danny Garcia would want to fight for the middleweight title, although that does make sense. If he's only got to fight at 155, well, it does make sense. But how does he get a shot at the world title when he's never fought at that weight? Oh, Carl, you agree with me by the looks of things. How is Danny Garcia even in the picture? I'm with you. He's never fought at this weight. Sanctioning bodies are harder to understand than women. Yeah, almost, mate. I think they're actually harder to understand, if you ask me. Out to my wife that's probably watching. James Daly, if everything goes to plan for Zarafa, Lara and Garcia beat each other up, then he gets a winner in November. Well, as I said, James, I'll be staggered if they fight in November. You never know. But I don't know. Do you want to just be the guy that, if that's your point there, they beat each other up, but then you fight? Wouldn't you want to do what Liam Paro's doing and what a Stevie Sparks done and what Tim Zoo's doing and what Jeff Horn did? Hey, I want the best version of the best champion, and let's go. Is that the difference between those guys and Zarafa? I don't know. I'm not trying to think words in your mouths about Zarafa. I don't know. He's his own worst enemy, I think, sometimes. But hey, in 6 months' time, we could all be sitting here with egg on our face. Michael might have the WBA world title bout going to all the haters. Who knows? Let's hope that's the case. But in the meantime, I just don't get it. I really don't. But anyway. James again. Oh, no, that was James there. Trout having legal issues with the WBO. Sued them about 6 years ago. Won't be fighting Zoo. There you go. So you know about as much as what I do, mate. Adam, thanks, mate. Hopefully announcement soon. All good, mate. Yep. What's that there? Batman can't wait to see Andy fight. Who are you talking about there? Oh, Andy Cruz. Yep. Yeah, that was a big signing. He was signed to Matchroom. So, yep, big signing there. All right, let's get on to a bit of Maloney talk. Sports bettors, Jason Maloney, $1.76 favourite, and Andrew Maloney, $3.60 underdog. That's pretty harsh on Andy, I would have thought, being a former interim champion. I would have thought he'd be a bit lower than that, or higher, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Jason Maloney, I think, has earned the right to be favourite in that fight. But as I said, I think Andrew might be a little bit unders, I would say. But I'll get back to the Maloneys in a minute. What's that there? Aileen, what's the best nickname you've heard for a boxer? Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I like the Pazman for Vinny Pazienza. What was the Brockton Blockbuster for Jack Dempsey? Or no, he was the Manasseh Mauler. Who was the Brockton Blockbuster? That might have been Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But I like the Pazman, the Tasmanian Devil. I love that, Carl. You put me on the spot a little bit there. I'll probably have to think about it a little bit more. But I like the Pazman or the Tasmanian Devil. I like. I'm a little bit biased with Pazienza, of course. Batman, ridiculous. Both guys get washed by top at 154, let alone 60. Complete joke. Yep, I hear you there, mate. Both Maloney's get up. Yeah, well, I'm with you, BJ. And look, I can't wait to get over there and just see, the mood the boys are in. I think knowing the guys, they'd be raring to go. Jason's obviously this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that now. So it's fight week for Jason. So it's this Saturday in the States, Sunday here in Australia, and Stockton Arena. So, yeah, I can't wait, as I said, to get over there. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I think 11 o'clock the plane leaves. So we're going to land in San Francisco, drive from San Francisco to Stockton for the week. The day after Jason's fight, we'll head back to San Francisco and then fly to Vegas for Andy's fight. So I can't wait to get over there and experience it all. Now, I know I've said it on here before. Actually, that is a really good name, Carl. Lights Out Tony, I like that. What about Michael's second to none? That wasn't a bad one either. Anyway, that's the nicknames. Big J, do you need someone to carry your bags? The missus won't miss me. Oh, mate, if you can fit in the bags, or carry the bags. But nah, look, I feel very lucky and blessed to be able to do that, of course. But look, I've been involved with the boys since they were the first half a dozen fights, so it means a lot to me to get over there and hopefully see both guys crowned world champions. I know they've both had opportunities. Jason's had the two, and he's had the interim one, of course. But so looking forward to really getting over the experience. What I am going to do, so I got off track a little bit there. What I am going to do is every day there'll be a vlog. sort of a 10 to 15 minute wrap up of the day. So I'll be sort of whisking it all together at the end of the day. I'll try and put in as much information as I can. I think I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to be doing or sort of seeking out the guys for interviews unless they want to do one. I'll probably more talk to the team, especially Jason. He's going to be, 3 or 4 days away from the fight when I get there. Andy might be a bit different, but I'll be certainly catching up with the boys after their fight. So we might do a bit of a wrap up with the boys involved. But look, I'm there as an observer. And just want to go over there, enjoy it, take as much footage as I can, cover the fights. And then whatever happens after that, but we'll see. Ross Levitt, remind Ronnie about resort fees in Vegas. Yeah, if you haven't been to Vegas before, guys, they can sting you. You pay your money, and it's all good. And you get to the reception, and then you pay probably, I'm thinking American dollars, sort of $45 a day American. So it could be $60 a day Australian. So if you're there for a week, you're going to have to fork over $400 to $450 Australian on the spot to get your keys for your room. So you got to read the fine print in Vegas. So if you are going over there at some stage, keep it in mind, especially if you're going for Tim and Charlo, hopefully later in the year. Look at the fine print when you booked your room. Does it include your resort fee or not? And talking about Ronnie there, we got there a few years back, and might have been for the Jeff Horn fight, I think. Wasn't it Jeff when he fought Ross when he fought Terence Crawford? And we got over there, and they said, yeah, that'll be $390 US, which is about 550 or something US. So keep it in mind. We'll keep going. Jai McAllister, how are you, mate? Thanks for joining in the telecast. What do we got? Harry Garside, will the upcoming court process halt his career? Similar to NRL, AFL, no fault, stand down policies. Any protocols around this in boxing? Well, Jai, I'm not quite sure there's a protocols in boxing, but there is protocols in Olympic boxing or the Olympic program. So what will happen if he's got charges against him at the time of selection? The odds are he won't be selected, which is a little bit tough because if he hasn't actually been convicted of anything, I think that's really tough because let's face it, anyone can accuse anyone else of whatever they want. Then it's up to the courts to decide. So in that time, if you haven't been proven guilty, well, in my opinion, you should be able to, like, all bets should be off. It should be neutral territory. You should be able to go about your business, represent your country, whatever. If you're proven guilty, then of course, then they throw the book at you and you get whatever's coming your way. It's a little bit similar at the moment. I'm not sure, Jai, if you're an AFL or NRL guy, but in the AFL at the moment, there's a case going on at the moment where you've got two current coaches, Alistair Clarkson and Chris Fagan. Chris Fagan coaches Brisbane and Alistair Clarkson coaches North Melbourne. Both were involved at Hawthorn. There's a legal issue going on, a potential racism case, and I'm not going to get into all the politics of it. But long story short, there is a possible legal case pending against both of those guys. But at the moment, which I think is a good thing, they've said, well, until you're proven guilty, you guys, business as usual, coach your teams. Now, if they get found guilty, well, God knows what might happen, whether they're turfed out, I'm not sure. But I'm a firm believer in innocent until proven guilty, not like what seems to be the trend these days where you're guilty until proven innocent. I would think in this case here, Jai, that Harry Garside, if it's still pending when the Olympics are chosen, the participants. And I think the Olympic Committee did actually note the other day, because they were asked about it, that at this stage, Harry Garside hasn't been nominated as or selected or qualified for the Olympics next year anyway. So it might be a moot point. You might then go back to pros, who knows. But at the moment, I think there is no protocols in boxing, Jai, but I think there should be innocent until proven guilty. And if it's pending when the Olympics come on, then so be it. Let him compete. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. Andy, yes, go the Maloney brothers. Let's hope they bring home. And Carl, let's get the spelling right there, mate. Maloney's, not Maloney's. Another one on Harry. All thoughts on Garside and all kinds of shit. Well, he is. He is, yeah. I mean, he was pretty much sideswiped, wasn't he, Big J, when he got off the plane? And because I saw the thing on social media where he's, he's toasting with his dad, flying back to Sydney, and the cops are waiting for him when he gets there and whisk him off to the police station and charged him. Look, I'm not going to make a comment on it. I have heard different rumours about different things. I'm not going to comment on it because it's still pending, and I don't really want to get involved in all that. But my thoughts on it, mate. Look, if he's proven guilty, then throw the book at him and he gets what's coming to him. But if he's proven innocent, well, let people apologise and we move on. Same as what's the rugby thing going on at the moment up there? Who is up there? The guy that played for San Francisco, Haynes. I'm not quite sure of his first name. Haynes, similar thing. He got obviously found guilty of rape, I think it was, and I think that's pending appeal on that as well. So who knows? Yes, it was the Jeff Horn fight. Was when we got stung with the resort fees. Tank Davis ran over a pregnant lady in his Rolls Royce and managed to keep fighting. He did. I think he got it was a house arrest. I saw that the other day, Carl. Run over a pregnant lady and got house arrest for a year, I think it was. Geez, how are we going there? It's a pub I'm going to. I'm not quite sure what that refers to there, mate. Let's go back. Have I missed something there? Don't think I have. So what do we think, guys? A fight week. Look, one thing I will give Jared Haynes, sorry. One thing I will give, again, Team Maloney full credit for is that they fought the best at the peak. Jason Maloney fought the monster in a way. In Vegas, geez, I think it was Vegas. You got to take the hat off to him. So that's why I've got no doubt that the stars are going to align for Jason. Third time lucky. I think he'll look back in sort of hindsight, I suppose. The Rodriguez fight probably was one that got away because I think if he fought Rodriguez now, he stops Rodriguez. But back then, first world title fight. First fight, I think it was overseas. There's a lot going on. Let Rodriguez win the first 5 or 6 rounds, come home like a train, but just fell short. And that's why I think he would... Maloney's, Carl. Not the Maloney's. But I think now he stops Rodriguez. But I'm just hoping that doesn't come back to haunt him. But I don't think it will. I think he beats Astrolabio and possibly even stops him. And I think that will be the first world title for Team Maloney. And then, yes, we know that Andy's probably got the tougher fight between both of them with Nakatani. But that should be a great fight. But how good is it? The fight on the Haney Lomachenko undercard. I'm a bit pissed, to be honest, though, that the Andy Maloney fight with Nakatani is not on the main pay-per-view. It will be here. It'll be on main event, of course, but because the Haney Lomachenko one is. I got a feeling, I'm not quite sure what they'll do with Andy's fight because in the States on the pay-per-view, Andy's fight's not part of the pay-per-view. It'll be part of the free-to-air telecast before the main telecast starts, which just doesn't make sense to me, why you would have a world title fight on the non-televised portion of the card. But anyway, what happens here in Australia? Does main event sort of just extend their little out so it's free everywhere else but not in Australia? I've got a feeling they're going to make us pay. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But either way, on the big stage at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, doesn't get any better than that. Big J, Rodriguez fighting for the IBF title. Is that right? Who's he fighting, Big J? Let us know there. I wasn't aware of that. And Carl says, yep, good luck to Jason. Did I spell that right? Yes, mate, you did. Jason. So, excuse me. So, so it should be a big couple of weeks. So, again, to recap, I'm going to do my daily vlogs, but what I am going to do next Saturday Australian time, so I'm going to do it after the weigh-in in the States for the next 2 weeks with the Friday night over there after the weigh-in. I'll just have to check. Let's have a look what time it will be here. So it'll be a Saturday afternoon. I'm just going to check my world clock. Sorry about this. So we will make it about lunchtime. We might make it, which will be about 7 p.m. in the States, which will make it about 12 o'clock here. I'm going to go live with Talking Boxing and we'll do a bit of a recap of after what's happened at the weigh-in, and we might see if we can get a word with some of Team Maloney, whether it's the boys or Tony or Angelo or Daryl, the dad, whoever. We'll just work that one out. And then the following week in Vegas, we'll do the same thing on the Saturday lunchtime here, Australian time. Mate, we pay for everything here. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. What I will say though, Carl, is that when I did the round table on Friday, I think they said that they had to pay $60 or $70 for the Canelo fight, or 50, 60, whatever it was, for the Canelo fight. That's US for the Canelo fight. We only had to pay $29.99, so it's not too bad. But I'm with you, mate. Some of the fights that have been free or on DAZN, they've taken off the Australian platform and made us pay for it. So it's a bit harsh, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure they do that all over the world. But yeah, whatever they can to get money out of us, I would say, because the Jason Maloney fight with Astrolabio, that's just on regular Friday night, Saturday night top rank on ESPN, I think it is. So, and we've got to pay for that. I think it's still only $29.95, but still we've got to pay for it. I don't begrudge the TV stations though. I mean, they know we're going to pay for it. So, anyway. Have a good trip. Look forward to the updates. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it, mate. As I said, I'm very fortunate to be in a position to get away 2 or 3 times a year, and I'm even more fortunate to have a loving wife who says, "Go and do your thing." So I am going with Uncle Ronnie. I'm not sure whether he's actually watching tonight. He told me to remind him. He's probably in bed by now. But him and also young Jackie Dilks, who I'm not sure is watching at the moment, who will be recording the whole thing, guys. So again, I've mentioned Jack a few times. He's got Tribal Mentality on Instagram. Not sure it's on YouTube, whatever. Does some great reels and videos. Jack's going to be doing a proper full-on documentary that we're going to premiere on this site, the YouTube site for Deep Dive, and he's going to document the whole 2 weeks and then put it into a 30, 40, whatever, an hour, whatever it might be, documentary for you guys. So looking forward to that. I'll be doing the daily stuff. Just me whacking together a few things, but Jack will be doing the real deal. So looking forward to that as well. And even better, Jack's best mates with the Maloney, so I'm sure he'll have all the backstage access and all the rest of them that us plebs don't get. But anyway, Big J not happy about George not fighting in Oz due to that no limit main event deal. Yeah, it's a bit harsh, isn't it, Big J? I would have thought there would have been a compromise made between them. Maybe no limit might have given them a free pass or whatever you might want to call it, where they would let them do that, or at least work in with the promoter so they can do it here. It's a bit stiff, I would have thought. No limit would have done whatever they could to make sure that was part of the Australian telecast. But then again, maybe George sees himself as an A-level fighter, so maybe he thinks his last 2 fights have been in Australia, so now he's got to get back out onto the world scene and make his name over there. So I'm hearing it might be Vegas. BJ, tell us if I'm wrong. So of course, Maxie Hughes. If it is in Vegas, is it June or July? Is it July 29? I think it is. So so that should be awesome. Ross says Ronnie will be pacing around the house, super excited for the trip. He probably won't sleep tonight. I saw him the other day and he's super excited, as we all are. But yeah, no, it should be an awesome trip. Well, guys, if you haven't got anything else to talk about tonight, let's call it a night, an episode. So we've covered Canelo, we've covered Stevie Spark, covered Liam Paro, and Team Maloney. So what I will say again, thank you all for watching. It really means a lot to us on the channel, and looking forward to bringing a lot more content. I think Tassie Brown's going to be over. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say it. I think he is going to be travelling to Vegas for Haney Lomachenko and with Andy as well. That's him ringing me now. I better ring him back after this. So he'll be over there as well. So I'm sure I'll catch up with him at some stage. But again, thanks for watching. Make sure you keep a lookout for all our socials, whether it be this or Instagram and all the rest of it. And yeah, look forward to seeing you all when we get back. Remember, next Saturday at lunchtime for the next episode of Live Talking Boxing. So until then, thanks, and we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.